So we have an update on the shooting at Florida State University, and it is not good. A senior law enforcement official briefed on the matter says there has now been at least one fatality as a result of the shooting, that there is, as we have previously reported, one person in custody as well. What we don't know, and again, details are coming in very slowly. We reported to you earlier that 6 people were taken to Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare, a major local hospital. One of them in critical condition, 5 of them in serious condition. We don't know if this person who is now confirmed to have died is one of those 6, or whether this is someone perhaps who never made it to the hospital. We don't know, but we do know that there is one confirmed fatality. One Florida State University student also shared with our local station the terrifying moments when he saw people running while he was in the student union.
I can tell something was up because there were students running and screaming in the middle of this building. And that's why I barely had any time to react. I had to grab what I could. I was able to grab my iPad and like a piece of paper. I had to leave everything else behind. And I got out of there as fast as I could. I took cover behind some bushes, kind of outside the union for about a couple minutes. And it was then where I heard several rounds of gunfire. I believe it was automatic gunshots because it seemed in pretty rapid succession.
Back with me, Dr. Kavita Patel, Christopher O'Leary, NBC's Emily Aketa. Also joining us, retired ATF Special Agent in Charge and MSNBC terrorism contributor Jim Kavanaugh, and NBC senior law enforcement analyst and former member of President Obama's task force on 21st century policing, Cedric Alexander. You were just looking at some new information, Emily, that there was some training that was scheduled to go on today.
Yeah, they were given a heads up, basically, that there's this tactical training that would be happening near campus at some point during the day.
Students were given a heads up?
They were, and students actually pointed us to this alert from the police department, basically warning you may hear loud bangs, crashes, sirens, and see officers with firearms displayed. So we don't know if that's coincidence or if there was any kind of thought into it, but certainly raising questions and speculation around the timing of this incident overlapping with that planned tactical.
Well, the obvious question it might raise is if, when you know that there's going to be some training, Chris, do you think that that's what's going on if someone is saying to you, we have a situation?
Yeah, it certainly could have given the students and staff a little pause to react to initial calls that there was an active shooter if they were conditioned that there was probably going to be a training exercise, which is unfortunate and untimely. But back to what Catherine was highlighting, the training that has occurred over the years has been exceptional and really saved lives. The response from law enforcement, from all the different agencies collapsing on campus, students really becoming conditioned to what to do along with the staff. And then on the medical standpoint that Dr. Patel can speak to, trauma medicine at the ground level has gotten so much better. So survivability from these events has increased quite a bit.
Let me go to you, Jim Kavanaugh, because, again, we know that there is one person in custody. We don't know anything else, but should we assume that there is a weapon as well? And what is going on at this moment to get more information, both about the shooter potentially and the weapon that was used, or weapons? We don't know.
Right. Well, they're going to interview the shooter. They're going to see what he's about. You know, what's the reason he wanted to do this? Is there any fellow actors, co-conspirators that helped him, or is he acting alone? And what's his motive? Is he a man choking on an empty grudge? Does he have a terrorism motive? Is it a hate crime? Was it a targeted killing? Was he after a particular person, a fellow student, faculty member, someone he was in a love triangle with? Or is it just random people he wants to shoot? The gun, we don't know. We haven't heard, Chris. Is it a handgun? Is it a rifle? You know, maybe a handgun. We don't have a lot of death here. And a rifle, you know, it's very deadly at close range. And the velocity of the round is 3,000 feet per second compared to a pistol, which is more like 1,200 feet per second. They're very devastating weapons. So maybe we're dealing with a handgun. Possibly. It's not for sure, but it's possible we're dealing with a handgun. ATF agents on the scene will trace that gun. They'll put in an urgent trace. They'll get it back to, you know, the manufacturer, the wholesalers, the dealers. It's tedious, but they can do it and work that through for the investigation, which is now a homicide case, probably prosecuted in the state court there in Leon County unless there's a nexus to federal crime, terrorism, hate crime, or some other federal crime. So more than likely it would be a homicide case. So you have to have all the evidence, the gun trace, the ballistics match, the projectiles and the victims recovered from the hospital. Everything's got to match the gun, the eyewitness testimony. So with a living defendant, they have a lot of work yet to do today. But they have the team to do it. I mean, they have everybody there that can make it a great case. So he will be or she be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And it's a sad day, really. Someone's lost their lives, others are injured, but let's just be thankful that now it's over.
Cedric, you've been in the middle of high-profile situations like this one, and it always is for police a balancing act. The public wanting to know. I think you could argue that probably the most important thing that they have learned, which is that the situation is contained and that they do have one person in custody. So there is a little bit of a sigh of relief there. But what kinds of things would you want to know to some degree of great certainty before you have somebody go before the cameras and brief the public and brief the press on what you know about what's happened?
Great question, Chris. And I think something we have to be very cautious of here is that the fact that this still is an ongoing investigation and nothing has been concretely stated yet. And I still think we all expecting more clarity around containment and also who is this person that they have in custody, whether they're involved or not. We don't know at this point. But what I would say, and certainly something I used to always do in these types of situations, was understand that the public do want to know what's going on and they have a right to know what's going on. But law enforcement leaders in that community also are going to assume the responsibility. They're not going to say anything, one, that is going to jeopardize the integrity of the investigation at this point. And number two, they want to make sure they have something to share that would be of some value to the public. And I think the public as well, too, over the years have also began to understand that, yes, we want to know information, but we also are respectful of the fact that police have a lot of work here yet to do. But to be able to share with the community in some kind of timely manner, as best you can, what you're able to share and what you're not able to share. And the communities not understand that. And I would suspect that's going to happen there in and around Tallahassee, Leon County sometime soon. But that's pretty much the kind of the standard protocol today. And you've seen it, I've seen it over the last number of years, and I've even practiced it. But to be able to share information with the public is crucial. But we want to make sure we have something to share that is some importance. But nevertheless, we cannot minimize the fact that this is still an ongoing investigation.
Which brings me to a similar question, Christopher O'Leary, based on something you just mentioned, which is in situations like this, the rumor mill goes crazy, right? And again, you have the added bit of information that there was supposed to be a drill, so there may have been some confusion there. But what I was always told by lawyers when I covered trials was that eyewitnesses can be reliably unreliable. You're in a very high pressure situation. So how much of the decision to go before the public, and I don't know if it's the right word to say is pressure, how much pressure there is just to, if nothing else, tell people certain things that are not true, that are out there, that seem to have caught fire?
It's critical these days. I mean, you need to own the narrative early. And even if you're communicating that we're early in the investigation, we don't have all the facts, but we do not assess that there's an ongoing threat. It's an active investigation. We believe at this point we have one subject in custody. The investigation continues, but also giving clear directions on what the students and the staff are supposed to do. Return to your dorm room, go home. It's safe to do that, rather than people getting on social media where a lot of people get their news now and taking directions from people who might not be in the know.